you want to be? Chances are you've been wondering. And now you want to get going. But go where? Where's the action? Where does your experience lead you? Maybe you like to use tools, work with your hands, stay on the go. Truth is, you already know what you like and what you don't, what you're good at and what you aren't. Like making things work, applying what you've learned, and not sitting behind a desk.
I really like being outside doing stuff, and an office job wasn't right for me.
If that's you, then look hard at HVAC. Look into a career in one of America's fastest growing tech industries. Because every day, everywhere, HVAC techs are using leading edge technology to keep furnaces heating, ventilation moving, and air cooling. They're installing and maintaining heating and air conditioned systems for homes and businesses, places where people gather, work, and live. That's why HVAC techs earn a great living and enjoy the life they've dreamed of. HVAC, a highly skilled trade that's challenging young men and women to build the career that's just what you want.
If you were able to get out there and try it and just keep with it, I guarantee you it comes naturally, it comes easy.
There's a ton of ways I could grow my career with HVAC.
Getting started is easier than you think. Tech schools and community colleges prepare young men and women for certification. And right from the start, new hires earn a good income while you learn on the job. With no student debt, no wait to get started. And within weeks, your mechanical aptitude becomes a technical career that's always in demand, innovating, expanding, and moving into new and diverse fields. HVAC can be the career you're proud of and the life you'll love.
Every day is different. Every customer is different.
HVAC is definitely not boring.
Right now, we need more HVAC techs, readily trained and ready to go. Thousands of positions are open in an industry where job satisfaction is high, the cost of training is low, and where young men and women ready to learn a trade can apply their skills and get going.
When I first came into the industry, college just wasn't for me. I just wanted to get working and make some money.
Check in. Find out if the HVAC companies in your area offer scholarships, job shadowing, and paid on-the-job training.
The company is going to teach me everything I need to know, and they even arrange for my certification and licensing.
Right now is a good time to look into HVAC. And it's a great time to start building the career you can be proud of and the life you'll love.
It's a great skill to have and sticks with you for the rest of your life.
HVAC, a career that works. Learn more at alwaysindemand.com.
Well, thank you all for joining Did You Know, the ESCO HVAC show. We are so grateful that you've joined us today. Now, we've spent a lot of time over the last few months talking about new equipment and new regulations for refrigerants and Tier 2 ratings for technologies. Now, as we're approaching the end of our school season, we have to start thinking about the next stages in life, don't we? Start thinking about our progression into our trades. Now, one of the things that we don't always speak about and we need to spend more time paying attention to is scholarships for our industry. There are a lot of scholarships that are available for our students that get mislooked every year. So today we have the wonderful opportunity to have Bruce hanging out with us from EGIA. Bruce is the CEO and has a lot to tell us about the foundation and things that we have going on with EGIA and ways that EGIA is giving back to the industry. Bruce, thank you so much for being here today.
Great to be here.
So Bruce, tell us a little bit about, before we dive into our resources for our scholarships, tell us a little bit about the history of EGIA, because EGIA has been around for a very long time. 100 years of serving the HVAC, refrigeration, electrical industries. And tell us a little bit about how you ended up in your capacity here as chairman and CEO.
Sure. EGIA has a rich history. We really go back to the 1930s, when primarily in California, electrification was taking place, where they were extending the electrical distribution system throughout the state.
That was a big new technology.
And and we were known then as the Pacific Gas Association and the Pacific Electric Association. And then around 1960, we merged those two organizations into the Electric and Gas Industries Association.
Okay.
And my personal history is I spent about 18 years working at Pacific Gas and Electric Company, where I ultimately managed PG&E's energy efficiency, load research programs for the system.
For the whole grid.
And for the whole grid within PG&E.
Yeah.
And then while I was in that position, toward the tail end of my stint there at PG&E, I was actually the chairman of the board of directors of EGIA, because EGIA at the time essentially was PG&E's back office for rebate processing, for contractor development, and those types of things.
Okay.
And then as my career evolved, I joined EGIA as CEO and executive director in 2003, and then really kind of reformulated EGIA into what it is today.
Okay, and that was my next question, because in my own realm, I spent most of my time as a technician and then at the distributor educator level, heard a lot about EGIA, but more from like the financial side of things. I've not really seen the big picture of EGIA. So what has EGI grown into since that transition happened when you started remanaging the corporation?
So EGIA, first of all, is a nonprofit trade association at our core, and we have 4 distinct business units. One is what we call Contractor University. That's where we have all of our contracting training assets,
Educational.
our learning management systems, all our educational tools.
Sure.
That we deliver to contractors, distributors, and even through manufacturers, around the country.
Okay.
Our second business unit is financing, as you mentioned. We have a program called the Optimus Financing Solution, and that delivers financing through contractors to assist contractors in providing financing resources to their customers to make investing in primarily energy efficiency upgrades affordable. So through that program, over the last several years, we've facilitated over $8 billion in project financing, mostly focused on energy efficiency.
Okay.
Yes,
and
it is.
I can see that developing in a huge way. Even though we talk about these incentives, we spend a lot of time talking about IRA incentives that will, be trickling into the market to help incentivize our homeowners, our customers, to move into higher efficiency equipment. When we really look at the trend of technology in general, that's the way we're going, whether we have incentives or not. Our consumers are starting to pay a lot more attention to energy efficient equipment, which does have a little heftier price tag on it. So those options of purchasing equipment and buying those through processes like EGIA are probably going to escalate, especially if our economy starts having issues, which many of us fear is around the corner.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Contractors have to have a competitive financing solution in their arsenal if they're going to be competitive in the industry today, but certainly as it evolves.
Okay.
The third business unit, just so you kind of get the full picture of EGIA, is we implement utility and government energy efficiency and water conservation programs around the country. So we administer the programs, we provide rebate processing for utilities and government, we develop contractor networks and train contractors in support of their energy efficiency and water efficiency programs. And then the last business unit is the EGIA Foundation, which is actually a nonprofit public charitable organization. It's independent from EGIA, but we look at it as really a fourth business unit within that umbrella.
Oh yeah, we understand those principles, absolutely. It's part of the entire function of EGIA. Yeah.
Right.
Hey, we thank everyone for joining us today. I see Sarah out there, Paul from Del Mar College. Let us know where you're chiming in from. We'd love to hear where you're at and what capacity you are in the industry. So thanks for joining us today. All right, well, Bruce, let's dive a little bit deeper into ways that you work with. Let's just start out with, say, our educators.
Okay, so through the EGI Foundation, several years ago, we commissioned a research study to try to really understand the root causes behind this labor gap that existed
Right.
within the trades and within
Huge topic.
specifically the HVAC industry.
Right.
And so part of our focus through the foundation is to try to evolve HVAC or a career in HVAC as an individual's first career choice, not something that they gravitate to down the road, but coming
Right.
out of high school, moving into education in the trades, and ultimately selecting that as their first career choice. So as part of that, what we're doing is reaching out to educators to try to create an awareness of the tremendous career opportunities that exist within the HVAC industry, to provide them with the tools and knowledge so that they can advise their students and create an accurate profile for what a career in HVAC would look like. And then on the flip side, we are working with, even to a greater extent now with our relationship with HVAC Excellence, with the trade schools
Sure.
around the country to really try to bring contractors and the trade schools together, where they're working cooperatively for the betterment of the industry.
Boy, Eugene can probably speak to this one. Eugene, has that been a recent shift in the industry? Because I don't think it's always been that way, has it?
Well, you know what? I think we're realizing that we don't need to reinvent the wheel all the time.
Right.
So Howard and I always discuss this, and we talk about whose job it is to recruit into the industry. And the schools always point to the contractors, and the contractors point to the schools. And Bruce and I have discussed this almost ad nauseum, that both sides are trying to bridge this gap. So we're on opposite sides of the river. We're building a bridge, and we're hoping that when we get to the middle, the roads coincide, the roads line up. So I think the work that HVAC Excellence is doing with EGIA right now is really planning out an approach to get people into the industry.
Sure.
Again, speaking to the schools, speaking to the teachers, to speak to their students is important, but the students are already in the program. They've already chosen.
Yeah, they've already established that path.
Yeah, the challenge is getting people from the population, the general population, interested in our industry.
And the parents. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? It's really a challenge because unlike the automotive industry where you see cars, our young people, they see cars. Oh, I want to drive cars. I want to work on cars.
I want
cars.
that item.
If HVAC people do our jobs well, we're completely invisible.
Yep.
Our equipment is hidden in attics and basements, inside
rarely
walls.
Rarely seen, rarely heard.
Yeah, if an air conditioning system is properly installed, you shouldn't have drafts, temperature differences from one room to another. You shouldn't hear the system turn on, turn off. So we are completely invisible. So what the two organizations working together are trying to do right now is get people from the population interested in the industry. That's going to help
that awareness.
Populate the schools.
Mm-hmm.
And then the contractors are going to have an easier time hiring qualified and skilled people. And that's going to strengthen the workforce. That's going to make our industry look better. And that's going to start bringing our industry to the forefront. And it's really going to be, self-perpetuating in a positive way.
Absolutely. It's so crazy. Howard's probably got the best reference I've heard to this because we're all here for the same battle. Howard, what's your representation of this exact same scenario?
Well, here, Eugene started saying something about whose job is it to recruit.
Mm-hmm.
And when I've asked a lot of contractors, the first comment is it's the school. Well, many of these teachers are teaching a day program, a night program, or both.
Yep.
And at the end of the day, what we're asking is, it's roughly 1,000 schools to teach HVAC. Many of them use adjunct teachers. We're asking them to go visit 37,000 high schools in their spare time. If they did that, they couldn't even teach the program.
That's
So
exactly
the
right.
answer is, whose job is it to recruit? It needs to become all of ours.
It
Well,
does.
you know, and to me, if you're an employer in the industry, no one knows more what you want in an entry-level person than you. Get involved with these schools and say, how can we work together? How do we go out and change the message?
Absolutely.
And personally, I challenge everyone watching this, go tell everyone what a great industry we work in.
I've seen some educators popping up. We've got John over at Northern Virginia Community College, Garrett at Ivy Tech, right in my back door. Woo! I'm up actually just outside of Indianapolis, Garrett. So we've got some instructors that are hopping in, starting to pay more attention to all of these opportunities. An instructor may not have known that there was opportunities to work with companies like EGIA and others like HVAC Excellence to help improve their programs. And that's why we're all here. There's a lot of things we could be doing with our time on this Thursday. We are here for you to help build these resources so that you can improve the entire industry of HVAC. Well, let's talk a little bit about the contractor side as well, too, because I know, Bruce, you spend a lot of time with contractors.
So part of the real need within the industry, if you were to ask a contractor, what keeps you up at night? Most of them would say recruiting and retaining
employees.
talent.
Yeah, that's the hard one.
They're having a lot of difficulty filling their jobs. So it becomes doubly important for the contractors to be working with the trade schools and understanding each other's needs, as well as potentially creating mentoring opportunities.
Absolutely.
Where students that perhaps they're in their last semester or towards the tail end of their education can be linked up with a local contractor that can kind of show them the ropes, get to know the student, have the student understand what a contracting culture is and what contractors are looking for.
Right. What's that feel? What's this job going to be like when I get out of here? Yeah.
Exactly. And then hopefully create a path where those graduates with a diploma, certificate, or what have you, are then able to move into, they'll have potentially a job opportunity waiting for them upon graduation. And that's something that contractors are interested in.
Sure they are.
But we need to make it easier for them. So HVAC Excellence has shared with us their directory of certified trade schools. And what we're going to try to do is match local contractors with local trade schools, and begin to really create that dialogue and that transfer of information and knowledge.
And it's such an important part. Kevin from United Education, Stone Mountain, Georgia, thank you for joining us as well. For all of our educators, these are additional resources on top of scholarship opportunities. If we're talking about our students, the reason that we have our programs, we're trying to build these students to be technicians, to go out into the trades. I worked with one program over in Ohio where a student could take advantage of scholarships to be able to get into the programs, but we also had the contractors that were throwing in additional funds for those students. And in lieu of that, they did on-the-job training, and then they committed to a certain amount of time working for the contractor full-time after college. So it worked both ways. Not only did you have the potential for scholarshiping to help pay for your tuitions for school, you had a contractor that is interested in helping pay your tuition going through school as well. So now we're talking about a variety of financial opportunities for students that could really make for a low-cost premium education and prepare you to go right out into the field making fantastic money. What about other organizations? Bruce, how is EGIA working with other foundations and nonprofit organizations?
Well, one of the things that we're doing right now, we have an upcoming conference called our EPIC conference. Yeah. And the day before the EPIC conference, we are partnering with Women in HVACR to sponsor a charitable golf tournament that the proceeds of which will be split 50-50 between the
The two
EGI
organizations.
Foundation and Women in HVACR to support our scholarship programs. You know,
Nice.
they have a scholarship program where they're trying to encourage more women in the trades.
Right.
Our scholarship program is focused on appealing to more young professionals joining the trades as a first career choice. So we work together that way. And I can speak for the EGI Foundation. We're very interested in working with any organization, any association that is out there supporting the industry through scholarships and other means. I mean, we really need to look at this as we're all in this together. We're not
We are.
competing with one another. We should be cooperating with one another and building the biggest pie here that we can.
Howard,
Bruce,
what's
let
your
me ask you-
analogy? Oh, go ahead.
Bruce, I just wanted to ask you one question. So that golf outing in Vegas is taking place, if I'm not mistaken, on March 15th. So
March
is there,
Wednesday.
if somebody wanted to participate or be, as a golfer or a sponsor or whatever, is there still time to sign up?
Absolutely. So we're looking for golfers, particularly if there are organizations in the Southern Nevada, Northern Arizona, Southern California area that could easily get into Las Vegas to participate in the golf tournament. We definitely would appreciate anyone listening to this program to kind of get the word out around that program, and if you're available to also attend our educational leadership conference, EPIC, the following 2 days, which is being hosted at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas.
Very cool. And I'll throw a link in here once we get down the way a little bit too, so we've got plenty of follow-up information on that one. Howard, I was just going to mention, you bring up a scenario that I always enjoy when we talk about how we have all of these different partners and organizations in the industry, and we have one mission, but we're not joining the dance the way that we should. What is your analogy for that one?
Well, here, I want to go out and buy a new suit. I stand at the store and I see 5 mirrors. It's not 5 different people. It's just 5 different views of the same thing.
Oh.
Similarly, when we're looking at the industry, it's a giant puzzle. We don't know where all the pieces are, where the puzzle ends, but we all have a piece of it.
That's
and I
exactly
think part
right.
of the problem, what Bruce and I were talking about earlier, it's like having a speed dating service. How do we get contractors to better understand the school?
Where's my match? Yeah.
Where's the school better understand the manufacturer's needs? We all have a vested
Exactly.
interest, and somehow we need to get everyone together. Now, a separate issue, but I'm a firm believer. Every school has a program advisory committee.
Right.
It shouldn't
I was
just
gonna
be
bring
a
that up.
check mark that I got
No,
it done.
absolutely.
They should be inviting all the leading contractors, manufacturers, utilities in. Tell them about your program. Talk about how we can, don't just make it about your program, make it an opportunity for us to discuss what can we do to improve the industry, better connect people to jobs in the industry. We all know what a great industry this is. Let's stop making it a secret and figure out how to work together to hit those 37,000 high schools.
Absolutely. Build these pieces of puzzles together. I'm so grateful to have you, Bruce Matulich, today with us, because this is just another piece of our puzzle. Look at how many of our educators and how many of our institutions we work with. And then we get those calls, hey, what about our local contractors? What's the way to outsource and talk to local contractors? Man, sounds like EGIA might be a heck of a resource for those opportunities for those out there listening. Hint, hint. All right, Bruce, let's dive a little bit into the Hero Scholarship. This is one of the big reasons that we wanted to talk today. Now we've got all these other things that we can talk about with EGIA. Man, it's really opening up some good opportunities for conversation. So let's dive a little deeper into how the Hero Scholarship started. Tell me a little bit more about it.
Well, it really sprang out of the research that we did. And one of the actionable items that came out of that research was that we really needed to shine a light on the opportunity that exists within the trades. And early on, we settled in on a scholarship program as being a way not only to recognize a handful of students, but to shine a light on the opportunity in general. So about 4 years ago, we started the scholarship program, and we typically award $2,500 scholarships a year to that demographic, ideally of 18 to 26-year-olds.
Okay.
And we currently have the scholarship application out on the street right now, and we'll be accepting applications through the end of April. And I know HVAC Excellence has communicated some of the background information about the scholarship program out to their network, and hopefully many of you that are listening to this program have seen that. But the bar is not super high for eligibility in the scholarship. We typically are generating 500 plus scholarship applications, or at least partial applications a year, and narrowing that down to 20 award winners. But the scholarship is awarded to students, either prospective students or current students that are going through an accredited technical school, HVAC school, that are U.S. citizens, that have a high school or a junior college GPA of 2.0 or higher. We ask them to tell us about themselves in an essay, and what their motivation is, and what they can bring to the industry. And then we have a panel of judges that cross over the entire industry that go through and ultimately select the winners. So we're really looking right now to get the word out on that program and get as many applicants as possible, to kind of spread the message.
Absolutely. So we've got a couple different links. I've seen we've had 8 people out there so far use their phone to scan our little QR code. So that's what it's there for. That'll take you right into the EGIA Foundation. We also had the link down across the bottom for our ticker for running over to the website. So definitely check them out. Dive a little bit deeper into the resources that you have for your programs. Because if you're a educator and if you have curriculum for your programs, now you need some more tools to encourage the students to participate, to be able to look at the programs a little bit more serious, what their options are. We had one comment that came in just a minute ago from Paul. Paul says, we've got 15 companies involved in the advisory committee, but he likes the idea about getting their help for recruitment. Why wouldn't you want to bring your contractors in for recruitment and get them the education for those students? A lot of times we have young technicians that are coming to the contractors going, hey, I want to get involved with HVAC. What is my path? And many a times they're there to, fill seats as well. If you can get them in seats, and then encourage them to get into an accredited program and use scholarships to be able to pay for that along the way, it's just a win-win-win cycle for everyone. And that's what we're here for, is to help promote that cycle of education and opportunities. All right, so a little bit more about it. I did have some more details. So 2018, is that when we actually started the Hero Scholarship?
We started the scholarship program in 2018. We actually renamed it this past year to the Hero Scholarship.
Okay.
Because what we're finding is that demographic, young adults in that demographic, are really looking for much more out of a career than maybe we did when we were coming through.
I see that so much every day.
Yeah, they want to feel like they're doing the right thing for society. They're having an impact on the environment, all of those kinds of things. So we renamed the program to the Hero Scholarship. And in our own internal communication, we're really trying to shine a light on the broader aspects and how a career in HVAC also impacts their self-worth and the impact that they're having on kind of the broader good, and that seems to be resonating well.
It is. And I'm so grateful that you've done that, because when we look at the generational changes, Eugene and I have had this conversation, of how things have changed over, a period of time. And our younger students are much more aware of their impact on the world that they live in. We keep talking about this term green collar jobs. It's not a new term. It was, used in Congress 1967, and it's just kind of floated around ever since. When we start talking about our young students and the impact that they have in the world around them, they want to be educated. They want to be better at what they're doing. And I do believe we're going to see a uptick in our young technicians that are not just tech savvy, but they're environmentally savvy. So it all lines up into all these new technologies and, the new softwares we have to work with and the applications that we have to work with in making an impact for our environment. So kudos. Good name for that.
Listen, if I could jump in and say something on that. Bruce and I were having a conversation earlier that's similar to something you and I have discussed. All the schools that are tuning into this, a lot of the younger students, we're trying to understand them. They don't want to do the same thing every day. They want different. They don't want to go to work for a company.
Give us some
for 30
variety.
years.
Absolutely.
Well, HVAC's a different job every day, and we're not conveying that. If you don't like what you're doing today, tomorrow's different.
Yeah.
They're interested in being saviors of the environment. Well, if you're talking about decarbonization, electrification, we're at the forefront of it. So maybe we need to really change our message and how we're recruiting people to help them better understand what the HVAC industry really is.
Yeah. Sadly, when, 25, 27 years ago, when I was getting into the industry, when we talked about HVAC, it was, I'm changing furnaces and air conditioners. And that was really about the only perception that young technicians had, because that was where they're going to be going first. But we didn't actually talk about the avenues that you could go from there. I'm personal experience. I can tell you, I started out as the little guy hauling sheet metal into crawl spaces and attics. And I've worked through so many different avenues that opened up along the way, and we don't talk about that enough. So yeah, I hope as an industry we continue to promote that it's not just HVAC, it's not just refrigeration, it's not just electrical. Eugene, remember when Jason started talking about this tree of the building science industries that has all of these branches? And we started out from just like a little bitty Charlie Brown Christmas tree. And over the last 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, we have all of these new avenues that are all cross-related. And so you don't have to be stuck in one particular mode. You can continue yourself. I've noticed some of these scholarships are, even good towards 4-year degree programs. So you start out in vocational, you can move around. So there's paths to continual education within our industry, Bruce. Well, let's real quick, and then I want to come back and want to talk about a couple different things that you've got going on out in Vegas. A couple other resources for additional scholarships. So start at the HERO. Let's get everyone involved with the HERO scholarships. Once we're past that and we're looking for additional avenues, we have things like Fieldpiece. We have partners of the industry like the Fieldpiece Tools, the partners with Skills USA, their program to elevate students. We have Trinity. We have PHCC. We have ASHRAE. I'll have all these links that we can throw into the YouTube video when we're all done as well. We've got Women in HVACR that you're going to be partnering with here in just a few weeks, and we'll talk about that one here in just a second. We have got the NAWIC Founders Scholarship Foundation. We've got like tool suppliers from Malco. We've also got National Association of Oil and Energy Services. We have HVACRedu.net. We've got organizations like the Mike Rowe Works Scholarship Program, which a lot of people don't know about. That's a big scholarship for a variety of different trades, but including the HVAC and refrigeration trades. And then we've also got organizations out there like collegescholarships.org and SkillPoint and scholarshipsinstitute.org, different organizations that help grab different scholarships and organize those so that you have a list. Eugene, tell me a little bit more about how you built the scholarships into your programs, because that was a fantastic concept that I didn't encounter myself.
At the college that I was at, we were fortunate enough to have an organization that donated a significant amount of money to our program.
Sure.
And a portion of that money was dedicated toward tools and equipment, and another chunk of change was dedicated toward student scholarships. But one thing that I realized that my college had, now this was a community college in New York. We had 86 courses of study. And I stumbled across this document that they had in the admissions office. So when somebody would walk into the admissions office, either looking to enroll at the college or a
Or a
specific
program.
program,
Yeah.
they actually had a pamphlet that listed all of the scholarships that were available to students, either who were doing general studies or specific for the nursing program or the HVAC program. And as the coordinator of the program, I didn't know a lot of these scholarships were even there.
Right.
So I stumbled onto this pamphlet. I stumbled onto this document. So for those of us who are in front of the classroom and we work at colleges or other institutions, pass by the admissions office. I mean, they might have a similar document. I don't know if this is the exception or the norm,
Right.
but it was
That's a
I was
great question.
intrigued. Yeah, I was intrigued to see a listing of all these scholarships that were available to the students at the college.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually a really, really eye-opening experience just to see that document even existed.
Yeah.
So, like I said, if we have instructors that are on or prospective students who are thinking about getting into the industry, when you go to the admissions office at your proprietary school or your trade school or your community college, ask them if they have a document that really compiles and provides a comprehensive list of all of the scholarships. What I didn't realize is there were a number of scholarships that went unawarded on an
Yeah.
annual basis
I can
because not
imagine.
enough people applied.
No one knew. No one applied.
Yeah.
Sure.
So
Absolutely.
again, thanks for bringing that up, Clifton. But yeah, like I said, if you're a teacher, if you're a student, if you're a prospective student, it doesn't hurt to ask. There
Not
are these organizations. There are so many organizations that see the importance of building a robust workforce, and they're willing to send money out there to help offset the cost of going to school, to help offset the cost of textbooks, to help offset the cost of going to school while you might not be able to work as many hours as you're working.
Exactly.
It doesn't hurt to ask.
Not at all.
You know, if I can elaborate on that just for
Yeah,
a second.
please do, Bruce.
So what we see many scholarship applications started but not completed.
Really?
I mean, hundreds.
Wow.
So I really think that it's incumbent upon the instructors to help their students
Now we're
complete
talking.
those applications.
Yeah. Why not?
And kind of help remove some roadblocks that maybe are holding that student up from completing that application, because it's really kind of disappointing. You know, we might see several hundred completed applications, but we probably see 400 or 500 partial applications.
Really?
Where the student was interested in starting the application but never finished
follow
it.
through.
And I think the instructors, I think that the technical schools can probably do a better job of helping their students along the way in that respect.
That is exactly what we got to talk about.
Well, in Clifton, what I was going to say is, look, a lot of teachers you talk to, and if we have instructors listening right now,
Right.
you lack equipment, you lack tools, you lack funding, you lack a lot of things. What you lack more than anything is time. You want to save time? Have your students fill this out, because when you have some excited students start telling other people about your program,
Yeah.
you're going to be spending less time recruiting.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm school A, and on orientation night, you're filling out scholarship applications to EGIA. I'm sending my child to that program because that's a program that is now encouraging our student to be financially capable and starting that financial understanding at that, earliest of age. Bruce, if we go back to, you were just talking about how many of those applications were not completed. We're not talking about a great big laundry list of requirements. We talked about this once. Let's go back and let's just imprint this into our brain. The requirements and the amount of effort it takes to complete an application.
Yeah, the primary requirement is that the student is either beginning an education at an accredited technical school or is already enrolled and needs some additional support, financial support to get through the program.
Sure.
To have a nominal educational background in terms of transcripts from a high school or junior college of 2.0 or greater.
Pretty realistic.
That again is a citizen, or recognized by the Department of Education as someone that would be eligible for these kinds of scholarships, and then provides information about their community involvement, their extracurricular activities, how they're positioning themselves kind of within society, so to speak.
Absolutely.
And that's really pretty much it. It's not a high bar.
No, that's why I wanted to come back to this, because it makes you wonder why there are so many applications that are not getting completed. And maybe I am that person that, starts the application and starts getting that mental mindset of, oh, this is another thing that I got to do, and I'm probably not going to qualify. I'm probably not going to meet the expectations. So a lot of times our mindset is our biggest defendant, right?
Yeah, I just want to send something out there because, Bruce mentioned, there is an essay. You really have to talk about yourself a little bit. And, having my students write something about themselves, it's very, very difficult.
I could see that.
For those teachers that are listening and they have students who are, contemplating submitting an application for the EGIA scholarship or any other scholarship, when you have to write a personal statement, my suggestion to the teacher is just tell your students just to make a bulleted list of things you do on a daily basis and things you want to do once you get out of school. Because the personal statements, some of the most successful personal statements that come in on the EGI Foundation from that scholarship is really about what they're doing now, why they chose HVAC, and what contribution they want to make to society once they get out of school.
Yeah.
So my suggestion to instructors who are guiding their students, sitting down to write an essay can be a daunting task. Sit down, bulleted list. What you do,
line it out,
why you do it, and how that's going to help the community once you finish.
So you think maybe 10 bullets or so?
Yeah. And then just write a sentence about each one.
For each
one of those bullets. And before you know it, you have your essay done. It's hard.
I'm glad you both brought that up, because I'm sitting here looking, how many people say, well, there's only 20 of them or 100, I'm not going to get it. And what they really don't understand is what the opportunity is.
Yeah.
Even if you don't get it, you've taken the opportunity to learn about, you're going to have to sell yourself. You're going to have to write professional estimates.
Yeah.
Our business is about articulating what we could do for other people. So to me, if I were an instructor watching this, I'd have every student fill it out.
Man,
I know
I'm
it's a
loving
lot of
this
extra
idea.
work for Bruce, but he'd be happy to look through 1,000 of them rather than a couple hundred.
You learn a lot about yourself when you have to write about yourself.
Exactly. And then you think about
one of the hardest things I've ever had to write was my bio.
Exactly. That's where I was going to go with that. I would sure love to have had some help with that. And it opens up an opportunity, even as an educator, to start that conversation with your students. Eugene, we've had this conversation just a week or so ago where we're talking about building those personal relations with the students. As an educator, we come out of the field. A lot of times we have to learn how to manage a classroom. We just did last week on how to manage and control a classroom. And that one of the things as an educator that we have to learn how to do is control a classroom and how to communicate with our students very well. But man, you want to strike up a friendship. You want to strike up an opportunity to have an in-depth conversation with an individual and start that process of communication hey, let's sit down and talk about you. You tell me a little bit about you, and I can jot some notes down for you. We can do this as a classroom session. So many opportunities. Ty had brought up one of the subjects of, getting a topic for your students to discuss together in their own small groups, in chats and in text and after hours. Here's an opportunity to start building some interpersonal relations and help each other fill out your applications. Because as more applications come in, that is an encouragement for foundations to find more funds to build those opportunities even further. So it's just an escalation after escalation once it gets started.
I'm going to throw this out real quick, Clifton, and we've said this on previous webcasts, and I always tell teachers, I said, you can't get in front of the classroom and educate. There are 3 E's. Educating is one of them. Before you can educate, you need to entertain and engage. And once you've engaged with your students and you can entertain them, however, you choose, then you can educate.
Right.
So this is a really good opportunity to engage with the students on a personal level.
Yeah.
So yes, it's filling out a scholarship application, but it has so many more benefits than simply filling out a scholarship application. And like Howard said, whether you get it or not, a lot of learning takes place in the process. That's kind of what our goal is.
Sure. One of the questions that just came in from Keith is, what about students that are attending night classes? Well, Keith, it goes right back up to those 4 check boxes. The students must be pursuing an associate's degree, a certificate or diploma from an HVAC technical program. So that's where we're at. That's where a lot of people don't understand that there is a lot of funds out there available. I mean, we have foundations like EGIA trying to give away money so that you'll go to school and become more educated, become more professional in your search. Man, lots of good topics. Let's get back real quick and talk about ways that the industry can get to know EGIA a little bit better. There is a whole conference coming up here in a very short period of time. Bruce, tell us a little bit about that.
So every year we host kind of one of the premier conferences in the industry called EPIC. So we're on EPIC 2023 now. I think we started with EPIC 2019 or 2018. Nice. But it's being hosted at Caesar's Palace, and it's really focused primarily on the leadership of contracting businesses.
Okay.
Where we're trying to provide contractors with the skills, the tools, the training, the resources that they need to really run and manage a profitable, sustainable business. So we have really high-level presenters across a broad array of topics, and we get incredible feedback from the industry every year, thanking us for doing this because it's at a level that is beyond a lot of what the industry is exposed to.
Used to. Sure.
So that's on the 16th and 17th of March. We still have some seats available for that, and I would encourage instructors, educators to attend and really see the scope of what we offer to the industry and how we're communicating with contractors. It'd be very educational. And then if I could just touch on one other thing around the scholarship program.
Oh yeah, please do.
So HVAC Excellence has graciously decided that for our scholarship winners, they're going to provide access to a set of their content. And Howard, you might want to talk about that.
Sure. What we're going to do is we're going to provide something called ESCO All Access.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a bundle of a lot of courses, online courses that are going to help someone be successful. And we're going to be working with EGIA to make certain that their winners are walking away with some great content to help them on their endeavor and a great career.
Yeah, a lot of good foundational education there.
Yeah, then we also got a commitment from Interplay Learning to provide a subset of their virtual training, also to scholarship winners. And then through our
Nice.
contractor university, we want to work with Howard and Eugene and some of the technical school educators to determine what kind of subset of our extensive content, learning
Utilized.
materials,
Yeah.
could be used by the technical schools to either integrate into their curriculum, as well as make their students, provide their students with access to targeted education. So we're all trying to pool our resources to create the greatest value for students as well as for the educators.
I'm seeing an EGI page on the e-learning network. That's what it sounds to me.
Well, and Clifton, I challenge everyone who's watching this. If you've got a vested interest in helping the industry move forward, come up with some kind of benefit that these scholarship winners could get, a toolkit,
absolutely.
tool bag, whatever it is, help them start their career and show them what a great industry we have and how we're all concerned.
And Bruce, it brings up a great point with some of the developmental courses that you have. We have a lot of contractors that have been in the field and then go back to school to gain education to become a contractor themselves. So there is a portion of our industry that goes right from technical school, spends a couple years out in the field, a few years getting that field experience, but needs to learn the management side of an HVAC business. So it just evolves, and that's where your curriculum really starts building into, okay, I'm a technician, now I want to become a contractor. How do I do that? Where do I even start? And I know you have a lot of resources on that side of the industry.
Yeah, we have a lot of examples of that as well. Many technicians decide at some point in their career that they want to run their own business and start their own business, and many of them are highly successful. But you've got to have both the technical knowledge as well as the business skills
and the
business optimization, understand business development, make sure you have the leadership processes and systems in place so that your business can thrive. So it's really a combination of both sides, and more the reason why we need to be working together with the technical training organizations to make sure that students that come out of the technical training at least have some knowledge of what a broader career in the industry might look like.
Yeah, so true.
And I think it's important to note, I'll put a period on it. So March 15th is the Women in HVAC EGIA golf outing. Then right after that is EGIA's Epic. And just to throw it out there, right after Epic ends, we have our conference, the HVAC Education Conference, and Bruce and Lucas and people from EGIA will be at that event, as well as people from Women in HVACR.
Wow.
So if you need to continue discussions after the golf outing and after Epic, we're not leaving town.
That's exactly
We're
right.
going to still be in Vegas right after.
That's crazy to think about. So if you're headed to Vegas and you're planning on headed to EGIA, you're going to the golf outing, you're going to the conferences, you're hanging out for the week, spend an extra day or so with the family, stay a few more for our conference. And if you're headed to our conference, now you can rethink, there's some other wonderful things going on just a few days before, right in the same town. A lot of opportunities for education in our industry in a short period of time. Wow, that's a lot of information. Let's go back to a couple of our questions real quick to see if any of these can be covered. Paul had a question. Is EGIA scholarship covered as normal FAFSA scholarship applications, or is it a separate application? Maybe just a little clarification on that one.
It's a separate application, and we self-administer it.
Ah, good. And a lot of independent applications are. Okay. That was the main ones. Quite a few good comments out here. Anyone out in our audience have any more questions? Anything they'd like clarified, or any additional resources brought back up so that you can regroup with EGIA and HVAC Excellence? All right, I think everyone's brain is about as full as mine is. Bruce, Howard, Eugene, anything we want to dive into deeper or go back through and clarify before we hop off from here?
Just maybe a couple of points, and you may have it teed up, but to apply for the scholarship, should go to alwaysinDemand.com/apply. And that's the link for students to actually apply for the scholarship.
The Hero Scholarship. Absolutely. Right. So we got that running on our lower ticker for us. I'll leave that running the rest of the time. Yep, I got that one.
And I think one thing we should say, Clifton, is any teachers out there watching, we all know what a great industry this is. You know, we have an industry that can't be exported, can't be automated, great career opportunities, but if we're trying to connect with those younger people, we don't just make a living, we make a difference. And that's something we need to start selling them on.
That's huge, and it is. I mean, it is such an amazing path to be on. You know, when you start out in the HVAC industry, you're not aware of all of the avenues that you can, witness and partake. I talked to a guy one time. We were having a conversation about, the different paths that you can take in HVAC. He says, "You want to know what I do?" I said, "Yeah, what do you do?" He said, "So I'm an outdoorsman and I'm a refrigeration guy and I work on cooling equipment for cell phone towers." I was like, "Oh, that's pretty cool." He said, "Yeah, but I fly in with helicopters with a gunny pack and they drop me off for 3 to 5 days at a time, and I maintenance all of the equipment on the mountaintops, and then I hang out for a couple extra days." I'm like, that's an HVAC job. That's an interesting perspective. There are so many different avenues that you can take in our industry, and we are surrounded with people who have walked the walk and talked the talk and are here for a mission to give back to our industry. We are all here for that one reason, to give back to our industry that has been so gracious to us and that we love so dearly. So we encourage you to join us in this mission. Gather your resources. We will continue to be an avenue for all of those resources, and make sure to join us next week as we keep diving into education in the HVAC, refrigeration, and building sciences industries. All right, everyone, have a wonderful evening. Bruce, thank you so much for having us, and we will see you all next week on Did You Know, the ESCO HVAC Show. Thank you for joining Did You Know, the ESCO HVAC Show, brought to you by the ESCO Institute and HVAC Excellence. Our mission is to bring the top educators of the industry here for you in a live, unique experience so that you can join us from multiple social platforms, all with the opportunity to ask questions, to be involved, and to learn about the things that are changing in our industry as they are changing. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get notifications when we go live every week. Are you an educator looking for resources to be the best that you can be? Man, you're in the right place. And we invite you to come join us at the National HVACR Education Conference, where we bring all of these guests and many more, along with manufacturers and different organizations of the trade, so that we can all be in one place at one time and gather this information to make us better together. How do you learn more? Go to escogroup.org, select HVAC Excellence, and then the conference. I look forward to seeing you again next week on Did You Know, the ESCO HVAC Show.